losing control. I'm seeing red. Watch you rise, watch you fall. Now I'm about to break. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fixed Fights podcast with Kurt and Ben. As always, I'm here with my main man, Ben. What's going on this week, dude?
Not a lot. Actually, no, a lot. I always just say not a lot because we were just talking about there's a shit ton of MMA to talk about. I'm living in a world where I've consumed Paul Brother content. There's a lot to unpack here.
There is. A lot happened this past week, and a lot is happening this week. So let's waste no time. We'll start off first with it's crazy, right? Like the UFC had an event this weekend or this past weekend, and it's not even close to the biggest event that happened. And one of the participants in the other event was a fucking YouTuber. But we'll get to that in a second. Main event of the UFC card, Jairzinho Rozenstruik defeats Augusto Sakai via TKO literally at the last second of the first round, gets himself a big win. I got to say, man, I'm still kind of I don't know what to think about Rozenstruik. I don't know if he's a guy, if he's a player, or he's just kind of, a heavyweight that's going to get some knockouts, but it's never going to beat like the upper echelon of the division.
I think you just described like 90% of heavyweight. There's like the Francis Ngannou's, the Stipes, and then there's just a ton of guys like this that are like probably consistently going to be in the top 10. Maybe he's going to lose 3 fights and find himself out of it. But would you be shocked if 5 years from now he's still like around the top 10 because he can string together knockouts? Like, I'm with you. It's hard to figure out his like ceiling or his floor even. Obviously, I guess maybe his floor, like we know his takedown defense is not there. His grappling is not there. But like, also I think the flip side is like Augusto Sakai, like I know this was just the first round of a 5-round fight, but like what was his game plan in this fight? I thought he came out so flat. I didn't watch this fight live and I'm kind of happy for it because I mean, it was only 5 minutes, right? And it ended in a knockout. So I can't really complain, but it was just kind of a disappointing performance from Sakai, especially, I thought.
Yeah, neither of them really did much throughout the first round until the end when Rozenstruik kind of unloaded and got him out of there. I got to say, it was pretty ballsy for the UFC to put 2 heavyweight fights to close the card, but I guess it kind of worked out for them. Obviously, Marcin Tybura defeats Walt Harris. Tybura quietly on a 5-fight win streak. I guess for Rozenstruik next, possibly like a Curtis Blades type. I think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe even Tybura. Tybura's on a 5-fight win streak now. I don't know. Do you have any leans for those two guys?
One idea I had for Rozenstruik was either the winner of Alexander Volkov and Cyril Gane, or especially if it's Volkov, I would love to see that fight.
Yeah, Volkov
I think that would be a fun kickboxing match. But any of those, I mean, Curtis Blades. The only thing is, like, I feel like I know exactly how that Curtis Blades fight would go, but that's why they do it.
I mean, a lot of people thought they knew how the Derek Lewis Curtis Blades fight was going to go.
That's true.
And,
great point.
Look what happened.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just I just don't know what to think about Rozenstruik yet. But he gets a big win, dude. I think honestly the star of this card was Santiago Ponzinibbio, and honestly Miguel Baeza as well, dude. Those guys, holy crap, that fight was awesome. And Ponzinibbio, man, I've always been super high on Ponzinibbio. He was riding like an 8-fight win streak, and then he had all these injuries. When he was super close to a title shot, he takes like 2.5 years off and then gets knocked out by the Leech. And the first round didn't look all that good, but man, in that second and third round, this guy dug deep, bit down on his mouthpiece, and put in fucking work. And it's Baeza's credit. He never backed down. He put in work as well, man. That was a freaking awesome fight.
Yeah, I know they were saying like fight of the year contender. That's probably a little, but for sure, fight of the month. Like that's
absolutely.
That's likely to be the best fight I see all month. Really great. You summed it up with Ponzinibbio. Like here he was after all this time off. He had that loss to the Leech. And then it kind of looked like it was like going downhill again. I think they read the live odds on the broadcast and said that after round 1, Baeza was minus 1,000. So like this guy was, you know, really counted out even in this fight and then came back. Also, and maybe this is, I got to get on the prelim primer more often. Baeza, I feel like, is a guy that has kind of fallen under the radar, or maybe I'm just not paying close enough attention, but he's a player. I mean, if that was only his 11th pro fight, he's really good, you know?
He is very good. Props to both of those guys.
Yeah.
Anyone else on this card stand out to you? It was kind of slow at times. It had some solid fights.
I mean, Menon Fioro, like the fact that we have a flyweight knockout artist, that's kind of exciting, I guess. But yeah, I'm with you. This was one I'm glad I kind of watched without fast forwarding through commercials the next day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I had to pick one, Muslim Salikov, always been kind of a fan of him, gets a big win over Francisco Trinaldo. So if we fast forward to Sunday night, it was the, whatever you want to call it, exhibition bout between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. I mean, dude, there's a lot to say, a lot of different routes we can go. First off, you watched it, yeah?
Yeah, this was my first time, like, even like 20 seconds into Logan Paul talking in an interview, I was like, might be honestly the most like continuous Paul brother content I've ever consumed.
It's there's a lot to say, man. And here's the thing, like, I know Floyd Mayweather is getting a lot of like flack for this, but in my mind, Floyd kind of told you what it was before this fight, right? He said, you know, this was pretty much legalized bank robbery, which it was. Floyd Mayweather made $120 million. Also, you know, Floyd Mayweather said, like, my boxing career is over. This is entertainment, right? So, again, he's fighting a guy that's 190 pounds who is a YouTube star. It's entertainment. Floyd's also, you know, 155 pounds, 44 years old. So I get it, right? I can't hate on him too much. I personally think he should have and probably could have got Logan out of there. But I do have to give Logan some props. I mean, his cardio actually looked pretty freaking good. His chin looked good. I mean, he was throwing some punches. So I can't be all that mad at Floyd not going out there and putting it on this guy. I
mean, I think at his heart, Floyd Mayweather is an entertainer and an entrepreneur. And he knows what the Paul brothers are doing, and it was like I felt like him carrying Logan Paul in this fight, because legit, like, I think there's all kinds of theories, like people saying this fight was fixed, whatever, like all this, you know, maybe Floyd Mayweather was trying really hard, maybe he wasn't. Everybody has their scenario. I feel like my idea is that they were both like having a hard sparring match, and Floyd carried Logan Paul. I think that's the most, like, he carried him, right? He didn't finish him, but I think. I bring that up to say I think Floyd understands what the Paul brothers are doing, respects it, and just wanted the show to keep going on. He knows even if the money is already in the bank and there's no incentive for him whatsoever to carry Logan Paul in that fight, he's just like, why do I need to knock this guy out? Like, let's just give the fans a show, let him go for 8 rounds, and then at the end, you know, on the post-fight interview, Floyd Mayweather was just talking about how much fun he had. Like, I think he just carried the Paul brothers. He knows that makes the world, like, go round in the entertainment business. Like, give the fans a show. I think that's what he did.
So I don't know if this is a fair comparison, but let's say, like, you compare it to, like, the WWE, right? The WWE is a pure entertainment business, right? Floyd said, obviously, this is an entertainment showcase. Now, if you look at the main event of a wrestling event and it ends in a minute, you're kind of like, fuck, goddamn, I wish I saw a little bit more. So maybe that's what Floyd was thinking, like, hey, I'm going to let this guy go 8 rounds. He even said in the post-fight, like, my kids can't eat legacy, they can eat money. He made a lot of money for this. And again, like, I really do think that, like you said, I think he carried him. And I think in the lead up, in the post-fight, he kind of told you what it was. And if you didn't buy it and you didn't believe it, you're probably the one that's upset right now about how that all transpired.
I will say one thing that surprised me, and I'm about to say something good about Logan Paul, is that, like, I guess I expected him, and again, admittedly, I had not paid close attention to the lead up to this fight. I saw the gotcha hat, love that, obviously, but, like, you know, I wasn't watching these press conferences or anything. No, I didn't know. I kind of assumed he was going into it with the gimmick of, like, I'm going to kick Floyd Mayweather's ass. And maybe he was at one point, but at least on the night of the fight, he was, like, approaching it like, yeah, I'm nervous. Like, I'm just trying to stay alive. Like he seemed more like, oh, I'm just going in this for the experience, you know?
Well, dude, him. I mean, lasting 8 rounds, and again, I think he probably lost 7 of those 8 rounds. Um, I mean, that's a win, right? Like, you're not supposed to last 8 rounds of Floyd Mayweather, so I think that's a win. And I for me personally, I think Logan is the more down to earth one of the two. Uh, and again, we're going to see it in another month, dude, or 2 months. If Jake Paul knocks out Tyron Woodley, he is going to be fucking unbearable. Where I think Logan Paul is kind of a little bit more grounded and centered. Obviously, like, he's going to tout this as a win, which he should, right? But I think he's a little bit more centered than Jake. I don't mind him as much.
And I think our guest last week, Chris Rini, said it that, like, he's probably out Logan Paul. I think he might be done with boxing now, even though there might be more money to be made. Like, he's fought Floyd Mayweather. I'm sure he has tons of other ways to make money. Like, he seems like he might be done now.
Yeah, and I think Jake has always been the one that kind of wants to be viewed more as a boxer and pursue the career a little bit more. As Logan, he's had, I think, 3 fights, all big money grabs. I mean, dude, look at this. The UFC is fighting with fucking John Jones about money. John Jones, who has 14 or 15 title defenses, moving up to heavyweight to fight Francis fucking Ngannou, and they're fighting about money. And Logan Paul, who has an 0-1 professional record, just made $20 million for an exhibition sparring match with Floyd Mayweather. Dude, what is wrong with the system?
This is the real story we should be talking about. I think it was Jake Paul that basically called out Dana White and the UFC on their pay practices, was like, why are you guys only getting such a tiny percentage of the profit? Like, he's like, what am I thinking of here? Like, out of nowhere, like an unexpected hero arises, like fucking Jake Paul, raising the flag for fighter pay. But he's absolutely right. You're right. And he's right.
And he referenced the John Jones and the Ngannou thing. But dude, I've been saying it, man. Jake and Logan are not dumb dudes. They know what to talk about. They know how to get people riled up. They know how to get people interested. They are smart businessmen. Say what you want about them, but this guy just went 8 rounds with Floyd Mayweather, made $20 million of it. How some of these top UFC fighters, how long does it take them to get to $20 million? 3, 4, 5 fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
absolute
title defenses,
wars, dog fights, title defenses. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's okay to dislike the Paul brothers for whatever reason, but yeah, I think there's some amount of respect for like how they've manipulated like pop culture and boxing and MMA, and like the fact that they've infiltrated so deep into so many little communities is interesting. I don't know if it's a good thing, but it's interesting.
I mean, dude, the wheels are going to fall off eventually. Like, I don't think this is going to last ever. And there's again, and we've seen iterations of this back in the day. Alina Noki, and we're going to see iterations of this later after the Paul brothers thing dries up. But I mean, here's a question: do you think Floyd's ever going to fight again, or do you think he's done as well?
I think he might have said he was done. Even
he pretty much alluded to it. Yeah,
I think he's done. I mean, I don't know who else. I mean, unless there's they want to give him somebody like Tenshin Nasukawa or some other tiny man, I don't know. But yeah, maybe. I mean, you kind of felt like, oh, maybe they're setting up a Jake Paul fight. But then when it was all over, I was like, oh, I guess not. I don't think Floyd's interested.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Floyd is 44 years old. I think you saw some sort of decline. I mean, Logan Paul hit him a couple times. And again, wherever that was between, Floyd aging and Floyd kind of letting him in the fight. We don't know, but yeah, I mean, the more he does this, the more he's playing with fire, because yes, it was a draw, but if Floyd were to get knocked out by one of these guys, like, I really do think that tarnishes his legacy, whether it's entertainment, just exhibition or not. I think he's really playing with fire the longer he does this.
Yeah. And I think there was probably, I think he carried Logan Paul, but I think there was also some legitimate concern that, like, oh, if I get too reckless here, this kid could actually hit me.
Absolutely.
And that would be embarrassing, basically. Yeah.
Did you watch any of the other card, or did you watch just the main event?
I watched the Badu Jack fight before it, but that was it.
Ocho Cinco looked pretty freaking good, I gotta say.
Really? Did he get beat though? Did he get knocked down?
So here's the thing. Again, it was an exhibition. So same thing as the main event. It was
No decision.
no decision. I thought he won the first 3 rounds,
Oh,
and I thought he
wow.
looked pretty good doing it. So here's the thing. He got knocked down, so that would have been a 10-8. I still would have given him the fight. I think he won 3 rounds to 1 with a 10-8. I thought he looked good, man, and I'm surprised. The dude he fought was kind of gassed. Ocho Cinco looked really, really dude, he looked prepared. He looked like he was having fun. Yeah, he got knocked out or knocked down a little bit stiff, but I thought he looked good, man.
Wow. I had no idea. I mean, like, again, these are usually things that I tune in on, like little Instagram clips. Like, it was interesting to tune in all the way for this event and like watch it, the everything in between. I had no idea they had Mauro Ronaldo on the call. I love that. I mean, I guess I knew it's Showtime. I should have known for sure, but like, yeah, it didn't feel like what I assumed like the YouTube versus TikTok celebrity type boxing feels like. This felt more like a real event because it was. I mean, they had legit boxers on it too.
Well, also, I don't know if you caught it, but Luis Arias and Jarrett Hurd, dude, that fight was freaking awesome. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. I believe it was the third fight from the main. 160-pound fight, 10 rounds, absolute barn burner.
Yeah, that's good. It was weird as hell because it was like raining there when I first tuned in, and there was like nobody in the stands. It's like, what the fuck? This is so bizarre.
But then it was filled by the time Floyd came out.
Exactly.
If you had to take a wild stab at it, what do you think the pay-per-view numbers are going to look like?
We'll never know for sure, dude. I think I said on the podcast, I'm not sure if I did, that I interviewed one of the CEO of FanMio, which was one of the pay-per-view providers. And he said that, quote, he said, like, I cannot verify this. So he might have been just total full of shit. I don't think he was entirely. That he said that he had heard from industry insiders that fight had sold more pre-fight pay-per-views than any other fight in history, which feels unlikely, but also like, who the fuck knows? They had two massive audiences. You have the Paul brothers audience, Floyd Mayweather's audience, that are two totally separate. There's no overlap between them typically. And then, you put them together. So to answer your question, I don't know, man, for sure over 1 million. I would bet for sure over 1 million.
And again, like, you could talk all the shit you want, but dude, 2021 Floyd Mayweather is still drawing, putting on big fights.
They crashed the Showtime app. Maybe even what did like Floyd versus Conor do? Because this might have been bigger, to be honest. Because
Floyd versus Conor did, I think, 2.4 million.
Maybe not. I'm so out of touch.
I would say
the issue is I'm out of touch of the Paul brothers fan base. I can't grasp how big that fan base is because I'm not in it.
True, very true. All right, you have anything else to say about the Paul brothers?
No, man. I mean, I am real nervous for Tyron Woodley, but we'll talk about that when the time comes.
A little nervous too, but I think we'll be all right. All right, we got a lot of MMA coming up this weekend. We have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Bellator and PFL are back. Let's start with PFL on Thursday night, June 10th. This is a really interesting card, and I think the most interesting name on this card is Claressa Shields. I believe she's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Let me make sure I'm correct with that.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say.
Yes, I think it's a 2-time gold medalist.
I think it's safe to say consensus best female boxer currently.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close.
Pound for pound, yeah.
It's 11-0. She's going to try her hand at MMA. And again, this is I don't think the female boxers nearly get. And it's crazy, right? Like you look at all the in the male boxing side, like all these MMA fighters want to jump to boxing to make the big bucks. Where on the female side, it's like they want to now jump to MMA to try to make the big bucks. We saw it with like Holly Holm and a couple others, but she's taken on Brittany Elkin, who has some experience. Brittany Elkin's a very good grappler as well, which is of note because obviously Shields, we have no idea what her grappling is going to be. I'd imagine she's going to be very dangerous on the feet, especially with 4-ounce gloves, but who the hell knows what her kicking game is going to look like, what her grappling game is going to look like. So I'm really into this fight.
Yeah, I'm actually like genuinely interested. Obviously Claressa Shields is going to be like way more athletic, but like we all like, it's kind of like a tale as old as time in MMA. Like Brittany Elkin Her record is 3-6, right? Not great, but she's somebody who like works for Fight to Win, the promotion. She competes constantly,
She does.
constantly with like black belts. She doesn't always win, right? But she's been on the mat with like legitimate, like world-class black belts. And she just competes constantly. The fact that she has a grappling base, like that in and of itself makes it interesting here. And I don't know how big she is. I know this is at 155, but like,
yeah.
I guess, Brittany Elkin fought Kayla Harrison for Kayla Harrison's MMA debut as well. But I'm legitimately interested because she's a grappler. Like that's basically the main thing.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, how's Claressa Shields? Obviously, her grappling is going to look. How is her cardio going to look if Elkin does like get her against cage or does get her down? I think it's a dangerous opponent for Claressa Shields. I think that just brings up the the interest in the fight. Main event is Anthony Pettis taking on Alexander Martinez. This is like a must-win. Dude, there's a lot of guys on this card. You look at Nathan Schultz is in a must-win. Lance Palmer's in a must-win on this card. These guys that lost their first fight, the onus is really on them to win these fights. You also got Bubba Jenkins on this card taking on Bobby Moffitt. Marcin Held taking on Olivier Aubin-Mercier is a really fun fight. Chris Wade's back on this card. This is a really, really good good card for PFL.
Well, I think you kind of nailed why this card is good. Is like all these guys are on must win. Again, not to be on the PFL train once again another week, but like this is exactly why it's fun to watch, is because there's everything is at stake for these guys, right? I'm excited to watch this Lance Palmer fight because I think probably has to get a first or a second round finish just to be in the playoffs.
I think same with Schultz too.
Yeah.
And Pettis.
Two champions. And even this is kind of the slightly unfair part I feel about PFL is like, if Bubba Jenkins wins by decision, he could still not be in the playoffs, even though he beat Logan, not Logan Storley, I was about to say, even though he beat Lance Palmer. Like, so you could still beat the like reigning champion and still your spot in the playoffs is not guaranteed, which is interesting. So, yeah, I love the Thursday night MMA, but yeah, the format I love because there's something on the line.
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, man, all three of these cards are awesome. If we shift to Friday night, I mean, dude, we've been banging this drum forever, and it's finally here. Douglas Lima taking on Yaroslav Amosov, man. I'm glad that they finally went with Amosov to get this shot. He is, 25 or 26-0. The guy is a stud, 25-0. Obviously, a huge, huge step up taking on Douglas Lima, who I think both of us have viewed for a long time as one of the best welterweights in the sport. This is a tough one for me to pick. I want to say Douglas Lima, and I want to say Douglas Lima confidently, just because I've seen a lot of Amosov, but I don't think I've seen enough of him at the top level. And Douglas Lima is just so good. He's hard to take down. He's a sniper on the feet. Works really well behind the low kicks. He has a good jab. I think Lima is going to retain here, but I don't think I'd be that surprised if Amosov does pull it off.
Yeah, I'm going Lima without a ton of confidence for kind of the same reasons you named. I think ultimately I'm picking Lima for exactly the reason you named. Is we haven't seen Amosov, first of all, against like a really great striker of Lima's level. Also, that 25-0, super impressive, yes. But if you look at his early competition, right, he was 9-0 fighting guys that were 2-0, 10-0 fighting a guy making his pro debut, right? So a lot of Amosov's that 25-0 record, not to take anything away what he's done in Bellator, which I think has warranted a title shot, like for sure. But then in Bellator against higher level competition, he's fought mostly grapplers, Gerald Harris, Ed Ruth, Logan Storley. So I do think he has the grappling. I do think what we saw in Lima against Mousasi was honestly a bit of some gun shyness. Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come, right? Like maybe Lima's not about to fall off a cliff or anything, but assuming he can keep it on the feet like 3 of these 5 rounds, and I think he can, I think Lima wins a decision, like slowly leg kicking and jabbing Yaroslav Amosov's face off. But, Amosov has legit wrestling. He's a good kickboxer too, but I think the grappling is what he's going to go to here.
And again, Lima is very hard to take down, super athletic. He does have a good guard. It's a really good fight, man. So we're going to see how that plays out. The rest of the main card is really solid as well. You have Paul Daly taking on Jason Jackson. Again, kind of this 175-pound catch weight. I guess that's where Paul Daly is going to live now, but he looked really good in his last fight. So we'll see. Big one for me. I'm pumped about Aaron Pico coming back, taking on Aiden Lee. I don't know much about Aiden Lee. Let me do a quick little Tapology search of him. So he's got some, some experience. It looks like he's 9-4. On a 2-fight win streak. I don't know all that much about him, but dude, Pico looked really, really freaking good in his last fight. Used his wrestling, which I think is what he needs to do a little bit more of.
I feel like he's been with Jackson Wink now for like a year and a half, 2 years. Like he's finally starting to like really, really buy into strategy and like bring everything together.
Yeah, he's on a 3-fight win streak now. All finishes, 2 knockouts, and a rear naked choke. So we'll see how Pico looks. I expect him to start really building up into that that uber prospect he was billed to be. Kyle Crutchmer's on this card. Taiwan Claxton, Nick Newell's on this card, taking on Bobby King. Love to see that. Yeah, really, really solid showing again from Bellator.
Yeah. No more like empty undercards with people we don't know, which I appreciate.
They're really like their undercards are honestly starting to look like UFC undercards, where they're getting some solid talent, and it's not just local talent.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm happy with this. Really, this Lima Amosov fight like totally snuck up on me. I'm pumped about it. I am excited to see like kind of where Lima is at. I feel like this is a big test for him.
Very big test. And then if we shift gears to Saturday night, we got a big pay-per-view, and we have a good one, dude. This, honestly, man, there is fights littered all over this card that are great. The prelim card right into the main card, I think I like just about every single fight on it, but none bigger than the main event. Israel Adesanya rematching Marvin Vettori for the middleweight title. Israel Adesanya coming off a loss. Marvin Vettori is hard charging, and if you look at that loss that Israel Adesanya had, you can kind of see a clear route to victory for Marvin Vettori, especially the way he's looked lately. I mean, you see what he did to Kevin Holland. He submitted Carl Roberson. He beat Jack Hermanson, who's great on the ground. Their first fight was very, very close, although I do think Israel Adesanya won it pretty clearly. It was a close fight. Adesanya got grounded a lot by Jan, but again, Jan is a really, really big dude. Dude, this is a solid fight, man. It's sneaky too. I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on Vettori here. Yeah,
I think myself included until I looked back at their first fight as well as Israel Adesanya's last fight. He was still, and again, like obviously Blachowicz is the light heavyweight champion of the world. Like, not to take anything away of his ability to hold down Israel Adesanya, but Adesanya, if you look, the mistakes he was making on the ground against Marvin Vettori when they fought the first time, which was 2018, were the same mistakes he was making against Jan Blachowicz, like literally the same, like from half guard, just like exploding up into his opponent. Like he's never going to move anybody that way, and he's exhausting himself doing it. Right. I'm still siding with Adesanya here just because I do feel like their first fight was maybe not as close as a lot of people remember. And I think Adesanya has improved a fair amount. But in that particular regard, like his get-up game, I feel like Adesanya actually maybe hasn't improved since the first time they fought. So I think the flip side too is that Vettori has probably improved his own wrestling. And for sure, Vettori has improved his pressure game. He's much more comfortable pressuring. So I think you bring up a really good point. The one that's exactly what I wanted to bring up is that Vettori has this path to victory here. It's not a zero. I think a lot of people are just assuming Adesanya runs away with this. And I made that mistake thinking he was going to beat the shit out of Jan Blachowicz, right? And look how that turned out.
I think a lot of us did. Yeah, I think the key to Adesanya is going to be his elusiveness, right? Is he going to be able to move? Is he going to be able to keep his back off the cage? And I do think he's going to. I think he's going to be able to play a stick and move style. And again, like I've kind of been waiting for Vettori, especially in his last couple fights, for like he just seems like he's the kind of guy that gets frustrated and will lose his shit, and he hasn't really shown that recently. But I do think that Adesanya has a style to frustrate him, especially if he's able to stick and move, keep the jab in his face, keep him guessing with kicks. Although I don't know how much he's going to kick, if he is expecting the takedown.
I think just jabs and straight punches will be enough, especially because Vettori he's not a finisher. I mean, he's not to take anything away from him, right? But you look at his record, you look at how he's won the vast majority of his recent fights against any level of UFC competition, with the exception of Carl Roberson. And he's just not a finisher. So for Vettori, you kind of have to assume he's going to wrestle Israel Adesanya for 5 rounds, or, I think Vettori, we shouldn't sell his boxing short either. That's improving for sure. I think he could crack Adesanya, but you also, like, one of the first things you mentioned was Adesanya moving around the cage, being elusive, not being able to be hit. I think that'll be key. And I think he's going to be able to do that for the most part.
Well, that was my next question to you. Let's say, I mean, how outgunned is Marvin Vettori going to be on the feet if he cannot get the fight to the ground and he does have to fight vast stretches of this fight on the feet?
I think he has to be pretty fucking defensive. I think if he gets overzealous, this fight looks like Adesanya against Paulo Costa real quick.
Yeah.
I think and honestly, in their first fight, what Vettori did to not get finished and not really get he lost, I think, clearly 2-1, but he was cautious moving forward. And I think he still just has to do that. I think if he gets out of hand, that's when Adesanya becomes super powerful, right? When the guy's moving in on him.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I got to make an official pick, I'm going to stick with Adesanya, and I'm going to go Adesanya by stoppage. I think he gets him out of there. I'm going to say like the 3rd or 4th round. I think there's some true animosity in this fight, and I think Adesanya really just feels like he has a lot to prove after that Yan fight. I do got to say, a lot of people are wondering, is Adesanya going to be the same guy after coming off a loss? He's lost before, right? He's been knocked out before in kickboxing, so it's not like it's his first loss ever, right? He's lost. He's been knocked out before. I think he's going to be completely fine. I think, like we're saying, I think he's going to stick and move, pick him apart on the feet, and I think he finishes him late.
I can see that. I'm going Adesanya by decision, but I think a late stoppage, especially like you said, I think he probably has a little bit to prove coming off the loss here.
Yeah. Co-main event, absolutely love it. Rematch between Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo after their draw in their last fight. Again, Figueiredo was deducted a point in round 3 for a ground strike. So I think if he didn't get that taken away, he would have won the fight outright. But man, that fight was absolutely insane. I mean, both of those guys just showed incredible heart, incredible cardio. Dude, their output was wild. I can't freaking wait for this fight.
Yeah, I hope it lives up to, the first fight. It'll be hard to do, but also, like, knowing how both these guys fight, like, it's not really surprising that their first fight played out the way it did. I think the only thing that maybe surprised me the first time was Moreno's power. I feel like his boxing was super, super crisp, but I think this is going to be fireworks again, to be honest. What is either guy going to do totally differently that makes this a boring fight suddenly? Nothing, right?
Which guy do you think has to change more to alter the outcome going into the second fight?
I think Moreno, because like you said, I think Moreno, without the ground strike, probably loses that fight. And I think Figueiredo will need to respect Moreno's boxing more. I think he was kind of caught off guard, like, oh shit, this guy's lead hand is really touching me up. I think if he keys in on that, I think this is Figueiredo's fight to lose, but who knows? Like, I don't know. Part of what made that fight so great is that Brandon Moreno was so clearly, like, athletically outgunned, and was just, like, through grit and belief in his technique and belief in himself, was able to make that, like, a great fight. But part of me also kind of sadly thinks, man, that might have been the absolute best performance Brandon Moreno can ever put together in his career. I'd love to see him win the championship. Actually, I'd prefer it to see him win the championship. Nothing against Figueiredo, but I think it would be an incredible story. But he's just so, like, physically outgunned, and I think Figueiredo is not a dumb fighter.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of that. Figueiredo, I think, just has more power. I think he's more dynamic, but man, that Mexican warrior, right? Like, that's Brandon Figueiredo. I mean, he is tough to put away. I think that Figueiredo is actually going to put him away in this fight. I think I mean, dude, I think these guys are going to meet in the center of the cage again. I think Figueiredo is going to be throwing those bombs again. I just feel like he's going to catch him, either hurt him and put him away on the mat, or just catch him flush. But I mean, dude, there's so many different routes this fight can go, right? I mean, Figueiredo can get tired and get finished late. It could be just another absolute barn burner. I could see Figueiredo finishing him early. Really, really excellent fight, man.
Yeah, I'm on the Figueiredo by finish train. Especially, dude, look at Davison Figueiredo's record before this Brandon Moreno fight at flyweight, finishing 4 fights in a row. Tim Elliott, Joseph Benavidez twice, and then Alex Perez.
4 very good fighters.
Pretty fucking incredible. Yeah, I like Figueiredo by like club and sub here. And I think there's no fucking way Brandon Moreno ever taps to anything in his life. So I think Figueiredo puts him to sleep.
Puts him to sleep with like a rear naked choke or like a guillotine or something crazy like that. Yeah, I agree with that. But man, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes Moreno's way or it's a war or something.
Honestly, like Moreno's boxing, I'm trying to remember his like check left hook, his lead hand in that fight was so money. And if, maybe he went back to his coaches and said, I need just a little bit more power. Like, let's put on a little bit more size. He's had some time to put on weight if he wants to. Like, maybe he comes out with a slightly different game plan and changes it. I would love to see it because he's a super likable guy. He's also like the UFC's Spanish commentator, which I love that. Like, cool. I mean, yeah, it's cool.
I think Figueiredo was just taken aback too by like how much punishment Moreno could take. I mean, he was like unloading, and this guy was just not going away. So I think Figueiredo is going to be more aware of that, and I think he's going to pick his shots a little better, save the gas tank a little bit, and I'm going to finish as well. Listen, man, people's main event. Interestingly enough, it is still going to be a 5-round fight. So you're getting 3 5-round fights in this. It is not a title fight. It is not a co-main event. It is not a main event, but it is the people's main event. Leon Edwards taking on Nate Diaz. This fight kind of came out of nowhere when it was announced. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but dude, I absolutely love it. And again, Leon Edwards had that, we talked about it. He was like, I thought one of the bigger losers of the pandemic. Obviously, like he was supposed to be the guy that kind of, started Tyron Woodley on his downslide, right? And that got taken away from him. He had a bunch of other fights canceled. Finally comes back, looks really good against Bilal Muhammad, and then, boom, eye poke. And he does not get a win. And now he's fighting Nate Diaz, who is, I mean, listen, man, in MMA, if you're not fighting for a title at this point, like the biggest fight you could probably get is a Nate Diaz fight, right? Like Nate's not going to fight for the title, but he's like the money guy at this point. Like he's taking whatever fight he wants. And Nate himself is coming off a layoff. His last fight was against Masvidal, and that was all the way back in November 2019.
Wow, yeah, it's been that long.
It's been that long, and again, like
he's a guy that keeps himself in the public eye enough to where it feels like it wasn't that long since he last fought.
Yeah, and again, like for a long time now, Nate has been very sporadic with his fights. But the one thing about Nate is he is not afraid of anybody. He always comes in prepared. He's always in excellent shape. Dude, I feel like a lot of people have a very good read on this fight, and their read is that Leon Edwards is going to come out and absolutely pick apart and destroy Nate Diaz. But dude, I can't get on that train, and here's why. Nate is not a dumb dude. He'll fight anybody, especially early in his career, but later in his career, he's picking the right fights. And he's won a lot of these fights. So I got to think that he's seen something in Leon Edwards where he truly believes he can win this fight. Maybe it's me as a dumb fan, but I think that he stops Leon Edwards. Oh,
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He's got 5 rounds. He's got 5 rounds to work. I'm going Nate Diaz by stoppage.
What's the path to victory here? Like, how does he get it done? Does he box him up? Does he clinch?
Classic Nate, man. He clinches him. He puts the pressure on him. Again, he's going to take shots, and you always got to be wary. He does get hurt. He does get dropped. He does get cut up. We all know that. But I just think pressure. And Leon, he's been a slow fighter at times, right? He slowed down the game. And I think if he does let the game slow down enough where Nate can walk him down, put punches, like you said, clinch him up, box him up, put him against the cage, I think that's the path for Nate. And I think he hurts him late and finishes him via guillotine.
Damn. Oh, damn. Even the guillotine. I mean, like I feel like Nate Diaz, especially later in his career, has really become that, like, he uses his size to clinch on guys. And part of that is he's fought Conor McGregor twice and Anthony Pettis, right? But even against Masvidal, he tried that a little bit. Like, he is, I think, because of the way he looks, people assume, and they associate him with Nick Diaz. And I think Nick was a much more like boxing, like pressure, just flurry behind your hands. Nate Diaz is almost like an out fighter. I feel like when he's at his best, he's like jabbing on the outside or like moving forward, like smothering you in the clinch and just constantly wearing you out. I guess I could. I mean, I'm going with Leon Edwards here. I will say I could see your path to victory if Leon Edwards especially if Leon Edwards underestimates Nate Diaz. I think that is the biggest error he could make, because I could see him exhausting himself thinking, oh, I could blast him with left kicks to the body just constantly. And of course this guy's going to get hurt, but like, that's not how the Diaz brothers
It's
quite
just so
operate.
hard to put them away, man.
And we've only seen Leon Edwards fight for 5 minutes and 18 seconds in the past like year and a half. So who knows? I'm going Leon Edwards though, basically because I feel like he's, first of all, during his layoff gained some size. So I don't think Nate's going to have much success trying to like physically bully him. I also think in the clinch, Leon is the more technical fighter, but I mean, I will say you do give me a little pause, right? Like, what if Leon Edwards kind of takes his foot off the gas too much, thinking, oh, this is fine. I'm coasting, right? I'm coasting here. And then, Nate puts it on him. It would be fucking epic. I'm going with
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say the 5 rounds, I think, really helps Nate in this fight.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going Leon Edwards by, I don't want to say stoppage, but I could see like a cut stoppage again. But I would say decision, just because Leon Edwards is not really a big time finisher and Nate Diaz is hard to put away. But I think Nate Diaz deserves more credit than he's getting. I will say that. I would see him win. I could for sure see him winning at least a couple rounds here. A round maybe.
Do you know what the odds are?
I don't have him in front of me.
I have him in front of me. Take a guess.
Is Leon Edwards like minus 280?
Huh. Dude, they got Leon Edwards as a minus 600 to 650 favorite. Crazy, right?
Yeah, no.
It's crazy.
That was truthful too. Like, I have not even gandered at these odds yet. Holy shit. I don't know if I would put, I guess we got a gambling show on Friday. I don't know if I would wager money on Nate, but honestly, yeah, I thought Leon Edwards would be like a minus 300, minus 280-ish favorite.
That seems probably where I would guess, but yeah, they got him as a huge favorite. I mean, he's rightfully the favorite, but that far, I don't know. We'll see.
Too much.
Feels like a Nate Diaz win, man. I don't know. We shall see.
I'm trying to look back now. I want to like look deeper at Leon Edwards' career. He had that loss to Usman back in 2015. The thing is, you can't look at somebody's record and say, has he fought somebody like Nate Diaz before? Because he has such an enigmatic style that like, who is Leon Edwards fought that is going to like replicate what Nate Diaz is going to try to do to him? Right? Like, nobody. There's like hints, RDA tried to pressure him, but that's a totally different style of pressure.
It's a different type of pressure.
It's just, he fought Albert Tumanov when that guy was a thing, but that guy, he couldn't grapple very well, and Nate Diaz can grapple. Like, it's hard. I think, yeah, those odds are off, I think, but I still do favor Leon Edwards.
Yeah. Crazy fight, man. And then if you look at the last couple fights in the main card, Damian Maia taking on Bilal Muhammad. Love this fight. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is this Damian Maia's retirement fight, or does he have one more after this?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I kind of want to say it's his retirement fight. And again, he's 43 years old. I really like this fight, man. It's going to be interesting. I think Bilal has looked really good. And again, he got that big step up last fight, and it just unfortunate what happened. I think that fight was starting to heat up. But man, Damian Maia has just made a career out of beating guys like Bilal Muhammad, guys that are looking to make a step up, and it just doesn't happen because Damian Maia weathers the storm, gets them on the mat, and then finishes them with whatever type of submission he wants, whether it's a rear naked choke, an arm triangle, whatever. I like Maya again here, man. I just think that he is able to weather the storm. And once he gets a hold of you and once he gets you down, most guys do not get back up.
Yeah, I'm with you here, especially Bilal Muhammad. Great, pretty good boxer, but not like a one-hitter quitter, which is, I think, kind of Maya's kryptonite at this point in his career. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, look back at Neil Magny, Ryan LaFleur, that stretch where he beat Gunnar Nelson, Matt Brown, which is like guys that are all in, maybe not Matt Brown at that point, but those other three guys are all in a similar situation to where Bilal Muhammad is now, where he's like about to be a guy, about to be a player at welterweight, and he's looking for a step up. And stylistically, like, he's a striker first. He has good wrestling and like good jujitsu, but good is not like you're almost better if you're just bad at jujitsu, so you're just terrified of touching him on the mat. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Maya like finds a way to the back here, gets a sub.
I'm with that. The main card opener is Jamal Hill taking on Paul Craig. Craig coming off that big win over Shogun. Jamal Hill undefeated in his career. Solid fight for the light heavyweights. Two guys that are looking to get into that upper echelon of this like new wave of light heavyweights. Yeah,
especially Jamal Hill. I'm excited to see what this guy can do, or if Paul Craig can get some weird submission.
I'm excited for that one. Then, dude, if you look at the prelim card, it's awesome. That main, like, I guess the prelim main event, Brad Riddell taking on Drew Dober. Awesome fight. Eric Anders and Darren Stewart running it back. Lauren Murphy, Joanne Calderwood could be the next title fight for Valentina Shevchenko. Movsar Evloev taking on Hakeem Dawodu. I mean, dude, this card is just stacked top to bottom, man.
Yeah, and we even lost Matt Frivola versus Frank Camacho. Was it going to be banger city? Hopefully they can. I know Camacho was in a car accident or something. Hopefully they can make that happen again. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, a lot of those fights you just named, Movsar Evloev especially, hopefully is like, this is his chance to really show like I'm a real player at 145. I'm into this card. Jake Collier fighting at heavyweight on the very first fight. We got a jiggly boy.
Fest.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, man. Alexis Davis, OG fighting Panny Kianzad. Yeah, this is a really good card, top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah.
Dude, I think we covered it all, man. I don't know if anything else is randomly popping around that you want to talk about.
We got I will say I'm excited. This is more personal, I think. I'm excited. Invicta is back, and they are now allowing media back. So I'm going to watch live fights for the first time since like 2019 this Friday.
You're going to Invicta?
Yeah, this is their first event since the pandemic that they have allowed media back. So I'm going to cover it for Fansided. Cool. They're doing a tournament. I'm jacked about that, but awesome. Tune in. They moved to Access TV, which, you know, I wish
Access is tough, man. So many, like I feel like so many people have always had a problem. Yeah, right.
And they're really protective of their product, right? They don't put a lot of their fights on YouTube, nothing like that. So I'm a little disappointed, but also like personally, I'm pumped. I get to go back and watch live fights for the first time in a hot second.
Yeah, man. Enjoy. Fix Fights podcast live. Is it in Kansas City?
Yeah, and it's only media too. So like they're not even having fans there. So it's at the same place as normal. It'll be kind of weird with zero fans. Not that Invicta usually has like a ton of people in the crowd, but just dead silent. You know, I'm excited.
Awesome. Here's one before we go. It seems like Alistair Overeem has announced his retirement from MMA, but not from combat sports. He just signed a deal with Glory to return to the kickboxing ring. So that could be interesting. You know, Alistair's a little bit longer in the tooth, but again, I think we've kind of marveled at Alistair's late career turn in style, where he's become a more patient and diligent fighter. And I'm excited to see him get back with Glory, and maybe come back to Overeem, take a couple steroids,
for sure. Oh, absolutely. I'm excited. I mean, he could fight Vitor Belfort. Where's that guy kicking around? Wasn't he doing steroids and gonna fight it again soon?
Well, he's doing a boxing match now against some random dude. I believe his contract with ONE was terminated, so I think his free agent. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to be doing, but he is doing a boxing match.
You know what we should, I know we're jumping around here, but I think this could be our last topic for the day. Andre Galvao is going to defend we're talking submission grappling. He agreed to defend that prior to Gordon Ryan announcing it. Still seems a little weird, but we'll see. I hope it doesn't end up with him grappling like Felipe Pena or something.
No, Gordon
some bullshit like that.
Gordon is going to grapple him if he's going to do it. It's just weird that this all comes out after Gordon announces his his career as a whole. Now Galvao's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do the super fight.
But you saw they like released like a screenshot of Andre Galvao accepting that prior to him making that announcement. But yeah,
it's just still, I mean, it all comes out like.
Thing is, dude, that's the biggest fight in grappling in jiu-jitsu for a hot second since like Hodger grappled
Shesha.
Yeah, like this is it. This feels like the biggest match.
Yeah. Gordon's gonna do it. There's no, I can't see any way in hell that Gordon does not fight Andre, dude. He's been calling for this forever. I think it's like the one last guy that he has to check off that list that he hasn't beat.
And everything out of Gordon Ryan, it's never been, I'm done, I'm retired. It's I'm taking an indefinite leave of absence. And now everything on social media is like, once I get this figured out, once I get, like, it's going to happen. He's going to get it figured out. Even if he doesn't, he was beating the shit out of Wagner Hocha with a terrible.
I know, exactly.
He'll come back everybody and do it to Andre Galvao, or at least try to.
All these guys he was beating. He beat Buchecha. He's like, apparently this has been going on for a couple of years, and he'll get it rectified. He's going to beat up Andre Galvao, and I can't wait for it. I really do hope it happens.
I think it will. I mean,
especially now it's Slapgate, dude. How do you get slapped in the face twice and not want to like beat the dude? I feel like Gordon's in his head, honestly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I feel like there could be some other good rivals for Gordon Ryan out there, some legitimate other heavyweights that, like, I mean, Kynan, I think, is the match I'm most interested in now too. But yeah,
agreed. All right, dude. I think we got it all. Enjoy the fights this week, man. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Can't wait to see it. So check that out. Fan-sided MMA. Ben's gonna be there, giving us all the goods from Invicta. A lot of fights this weekend. Ultimate Fighter is on tonight, so check that out. PFL Thursday, Bellator Friday, UFC pay-per-view Saturday. We will be back on Friday for our Best Bets episode to win you guys some money. Hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to the podcast. Enjoy the fights, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
No escape, can you step to this? Face the pain.